Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television, GPTV. I'm Brett. It's New Weekly Comics, and in my hands is one of those releases. It's Annihilation Scourge, collecting the mini-event into a trade paperback. So this includes Annihilation Scourge Alpha, Fantastic Four, Nova, Silver Surfer, Beta Ray Bill, and the Omega issue. And this is features Alpha is Matthew Rosenberg, Juan and Ramirez, Cian, Tomey, Federico, Blee, Cory Petit. Nova is Rosenberg, Ibraim, Roberson, Carlos Lopez, Cory Petit, Beta Ray Bills, Michael Moreci, Alberto, Albuquerque, J. David Ramos, Joe Sabino, Fantastic Four, Christos, Gage, Diego, Olortegui, Juan, Vlasco, Cam Smith, Scott Hanna, Erick, Arciniega, and Travis Lanham. Silver Surfer is Dan Abnett, Paul Davidson, Matt, Milla, Clayton Cowles, and Omega is Rosenberg, Manuel, Garcia, Rafael Fonteras, Cam Smith, Wayne Faucher, Manuel, Garcia, Federico, Blee, Rachelle, Rosenberg, Erick, Arciniega, and Cory Petit. Alright, so one of the things that got me back into Marvel Comics was their cosmic line. The stuff being done back in the day of Annihilation Quest, all that stuff. Really, I loved it. It was such great comics. The cosmic end of the Marvel Universe was actually, I think, the stronger part of the overall universe, which was a little different than it is today, where the cosmic feels fairly left out there. So I was excited to see Annihilation Scourge and come back, which seemed to pick up some of the storylines that were left out there. To kind of do the short version, the last big bad that they fought in the cosmic level was these things called, from the Cancerverse. The Cancerverse is a place where death doesn't exist. Like cancer, just life exists. It's a twisted version of our universe. Instead of the Avengers, it's the Revengers. They've got these evil chaos Cthulhu-ish gods that provide eternal life, and they're constantly growing. Nova, Richard Rider, wound up sacrificing himself and stopping them. Eventually came back. There were some kind of stories on that. This ties into a whole bunch of things going on with that, and the short version is the Cancerverse has invaded the Negative Zone, and the Negative Zone has come to the Marvel Universe to try to get help, and a whole bunch of cosmic characters come together to try to stop the Cancerverse. That is it in the nutshell and everything you need to know. So this event was made up of an Alpha story, an Omega story, and then a bunch of one-shots in between. The one-shots were interesting. So I was really dug the Alpha story. I think the Alpha story, from what I remember in my initial review, is it reminded me a lot of the initial Annihilation stuff. It touched on plot lines that haven't really been touched upon in quite some time. There was a great twist at the end as to who was leading the Cancerverse forces. It just really kind of felt like a nice heir to what originally came out. What followed, though, I think was just a weird mishmash of stories that felt like a whole bunch of ideas thrown out there with no real cohesive thing to bring them together. And what I mean by that is it is a bunch of series of one-shots that focus on each of the characters and how those characters are brought into battle. That actually is not a bad idea unto itself. It is a solid concept, but what's missing is that base. You have a bunch of what essentially is one-shots, but there is no base story to really bring them all together and create a cohesive narrative. So it really is just your main story of what would be the main miniseries is that Alpha and Omega, and that's it. And when you get to the Omega, you feel like you've missed a whole lot of things going on. You miss the battles. You miss those moments when of desperation. You miss those highs and lows. There could have been something really good there, and I think that is kind of what eventually took this for me from being this really high point and me super excited to kind of a disappointment. There's just a kind of the oomph is there, the meat isn't there. You've got a whole bunch of stuff surrounding it, but the main meal isn't there for me. I think what I would have liked to see is that Alpha story, 2 issues for a main story, maybe a 3rd issue for a main story, and then the Omega story, and in between those 2 issues, a whole bunch of the one-shots get released. I think that's how I would have done it if I were in charge of the event, and to me, there would be a lot better. You don't need tons of stuff in those 2 issues, you just need to get that highs and lows and that roller coaster ride of the actual battle going on within the Negative Zone. That being said, like, it's nice to see Marvel's cosmic side coming back. It's great to see the Cancerverse being used. There's a lot of stuff that is great to see, and I think that's the other issue, is that you don't see enough of it. It's a bunch of one-shots, and it's these characters getting into the fight, but, like, that's it. Like, you don't really get... There's very little moments that I kind of felt like were the hell yeah moments for any of the characters. So overall, like, to me, this is a bit of a disappointment. You're much better going back and reading the original Annihilation stuff that came out probably a decade ago, at least, at this point. Maybe... probably at least a decade, maybe 15 years ago, something like that. Start there. Start with Annihilation and go find the awesomeness that was the Guardians of the Galaxy back then before they got tied into the films. It's actually way better back then. The Guardians were amazing then, and they're entertaining now, but I think way better then. So, as someone who loved the original Annihilation stuff, this is kind of a letdown overall, and that sucks because initially I was, like, super pumped. With so many creators, so many people involved in it, like, the art's all over the place. There is some hell yeah awesome art in there, and some cool styles that work really well with the cosmic event, but overall the art is a little hit and miss for me. Some of the stuff with the Fantastic Four, for example, I think doesn't quite hit home as well as some of the other stuff. There's just, it's a styles difference that just, it feels strange. Like, I think maybe one or two artists on everything would have been much better than just so many involved. I mean, that's a kind of a cool 2-page spread that catches you up on Richard Rider's experience, and then you go from that spread to this, where Annihilus just looks a little weird. Show off that. And then you get really cool, like, this is an awesome spread. The Silver Surfer stuff one, there's a cool style to it, but there's really, really good stuff on there. There's some stuff not quite as good, but this is an example of it not being quite as good. Let's show off a little bit more. Do a little Beta Ray Bill action. And then wrap it up with the finale. Yeah, we'll go with this for the finale. So, yeah. It really comes down to, like, if you are missing the cosmic side, if you really want to see where the next chapter of the Annihilation, because you love the first stuff, go for it. You're probably going to be a bit disappointed, but, you know, it's kind of neat to see where everything goes. Marvel's definitely has their eye on their cosmic side of their universe a bit more, and this is a prime example of that, and there's a whole bunch of other stories like Silver Surfer Black that flow into this as well. So it'll be very fascinating to see where this all goes coming forward, especially with Empire coming. That seems to be a huge cosmic story. So I imagine a lot of the characters in this will be involved in that. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was kind of disappointing. I think part of it also was, like, I really enjoyed the first issue so much. As far as extras, we get covers, but the covers are done in that sort of spread, and that's about it. So a lot packed in, $24.99. Overall, a little bit of a letdown for me. It's out in comic shops now. You can go get it. We got a link beneath this video. Put in your zip code, tell the shops near you. No shop, no problem. We do have affiliate links. There are affiliate links, so we get a small percentage of that by doing that. You help support our site, but really you should go support the comic shops. And speaking of support, I want to thank Marvel for hooking us up with the review copy. We appreciate it, and thank you for watching. Now, if you're into Marvel, if you're into comics in general, check us out every single day at graphicpolicy.com. We're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. So until next time, keep reading those comics, and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games. you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.